You start out, your friend posted some petition on Facebook to protect the cute baby seals from being brutally clubbed to death by the evil fur trappers, and it seemed harmless. But suddenly, you don't know how it happened, but it seems like every advocacy organization on the entire internet now has your email address. And they are flooding your inbox. They are spamming you worse than Nigerian millionaires asking to wire you money. You don't know what's going on. It is a 24/7 fest of outrage. You will be outraged, the subject lines are screaming. As though that were some kind of incentive for you to open this email, as though you wanted more outrage in your day to make it fully complete. You're starting to question yourself, like, do these people have any other emotions in their repertoire? But before you can figure it out, the paper mail starts. You're getting these fat envelopes plastered with pathetic images of little children swarming with flies, and inside it's stuffed with cheesy address labels designed to guilt you into sending them money. But all of this is just a picnic compared to what comes next. Because you can send them that check, you can sign that little petition, and you never have to come face to face with another actual activist. That is right. If you thought that corrupt politicians and evil corporations were a serious problem, you have seen nothing yet. There is no greater threat to any activist movement than the activists themselves. Whether it is infighting over ridiculous, inane problems, or it's getting totally off topic at a meeting, or just having a total lack of any good kind of strategy, I don't know any group of people that is better at sabotaging their own efforts than activists. What do I mean exactly? Here's an example. Imagine that you show up at a protest for an oil pipeline that has been proposed in your area. The first thing you notice when you arrive will be the dress code. Business attire, nice shoes, neat hair, practically anything that speaks of general respectability and authority to the general public is definitely out. What you will notice instead is a lot of dreadlocks, a lot of ripped clothing, a lot of buttons and excessive t-shirts for causes that have nothing to do with the current gathering. And then you will notice the music, if you want to call it that, because it's usually some older guy with a guitar that's a little out of tune, singing some song with lyrics that are angry and don't really fit the music, and he's accompanied by some bongo drums and some people dancing kind of awkwardly as though this song had any rhythm, which it really doesn't. And if that were not enough to drive away all but the most diehard people, then there are the speeches. It started out okay, but then you saw this guy with a Guy Fawkes mask taking the microphone. And he started talking very emphatically about the need for violent opposition and sabotage. Only theoretical, mind. To bring down the capitalist system once and for all. And you're thinking, I thought I was just here to protest this one pipeline. I didn't know this was some kind of anarchist philosophy symposium. Seriously, who organized this thing? So you're going around looking for whoever's responsible so you can complain, but you can't find this person. Finally, you ask those guys in the back with the legalized marijuana sign, but they don't seem to know either. In fact, you're not entirely sure they understood your question. But then you're thinking, wait a minute, what are these guys doing here with this giant cannabis flag in the middle of an oil pipeline protest? Seriously, is anyone in charge here? But even if against all odds, you manage to find a group of activists that's actually well-disciplined and well-organized, do not think that you will go unopposed. No. Last summer, I was at the National Conference for Citizens Climate Lobby. We were lobbying for a carbon tax to save the world from global warming. It was great, except our conference itself got protested. Not, as you might imagine, by representatives of the coal or oil industry. No, we got protested by other environmentalists. It wasn't a lot of them, it was like one or two, but they were handing out these flyers that were signed by a couple dozen environmental organizations that I had never heard of. And they were objecting to our political strategy on the basis that it failed to account for, among other things, global inequality, the patriarchy, the plight of indigenous peoples. Of course, they weren't suggesting an alternative strategy. They were just complaining about ours, because as every good activist knows, if you cannot come up with a solution that will solve all of the world's problems at the same time, then you should just throw strategizing out the window entirely and just get outraged at everything and keep playing the bongo drums until everything magically gets better. So if it's all as bad as that, you might ask, Julie, why are you still an activist? Why are you doing this to yourself? That is a legitimate question. I know that it's not because it pays so well. And I also know it's not because it's an especially pleasurable form of recreation. Sometimes I think I would get more relaxation and contentment out of taking up something like nudist beekeeping. But there is one reason, as far as I'm concerned, that is a good reason to be an activist. The former President Teddy Roosevelt once said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena." As long as there is injustice and there is suffering in the world, my conscience demands that I be there in the arena doing the best that I can, even if the arena is mostly full of college students in dreadlocks and washed up hippies singing really out of tune. Mr. Toastmaster.